the headphones I got is not compatible with the laptop, so
Oh,
like
for real?
plug them in. Yeah, bro. I just realized that right now.
No, well,
Um,
actually, are you using your computer?
yeah, I am.
Yeah, because it sounds perfectly fine. Like it doesn't, at least from my headphones here, like they sound really good.
Okay, cool.
Surprising.
Awesome.
Yeah. So how you been, man?
Everything's good, bro. Just chilling with the family today, just
That's
doing some
cool.
stuff, and then next week I go back to work. So everything's good though.
That's cool. So you live like you and your wife like already like live on your own and everything?
Yeah, so actually, what happened with that was we were planning to get married May 8th,
Oh,
which is this
wow.
Friday, right? But like as the times we kind of had plans of doing things here and there, like we planned very like up to date, like very detailed. So when
Mm-hmm.
the year started, we closed on our house in February. We paid off our honeymoon. We were paying off the venue and stuff. And as things are going, the coronavirus started. So then our venue canceled, our honeymoon canceled. My wife's family, most of her family that was coming to the wedding is from New York. And you know how New York is like one of the
Yeah.
worst states for the viruses. So
Yeah.
it was really bad. So things just weren't going as we planned it.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
God's plans are something else.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
we already had the plan, and something that we wanted is that since we were getting in May 8th,
Mm-hmm.
we wanted to have our marriage license at least a couple of weeks in advance so that we don't have to worry about it. So then our deadline to turn in our marriage license was April 11th. And
Okay.
then in the beginning of March, everything was already canceled. So we had a deadline already. So we were talking to our parents and we were talking to our pastor and seeking advice. And since we already had the house and everything, we just did like a small ceremony at my church before the
Mm-hmm.
lockdown. So we got
Mm-hmm.
married, we moved in, we got everything, whatever, and then we're gonna be doing like the actual wedding, whenever any of this like lifts up. Like we don't know when things
Yeah.
get better.
Yeah, I think I saw that. I went on your page and I saw that that ceremony that you guys did. I thought
Yeah.
that was really cool. I mean, at least you guys were able to, do something, you know.
Exactly. Exactly, bro. So everything works out for better, and it was just a process where it was a little bit difficult because we had like our own plans. Like we wanted things to go according to how we wanted it.
Yeah.
How you know how that works, bro.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
God always had something better, and He always has something else in mind. So then when we encountered that, we were like, oh, we just gotta trust God, and that's it. Like no matter if it's not according to what we wanted it, we didn't have like our honeymoon. We didn't want it to do it the way that I guess we would have liked.
Mm-hmm.
But God always has something better. So it was a more of a process of us trusting Him for our marriage and everything
Mm-hmm.
than doing everything the way we wanted it. So
That's
but it was really fun. It's been fun. Like literally that day when we got married, we had no groceries, we had no plates, we had no pots and pans, bro. So like after we got married, we went to Walmart. We changed. We went to Walmart. I bought a bunch of stuff for the house. So it's just like it
yeah.
was fun. It was fun though.
That's
But it was a good
awesome.
experience.
It's a unique experience, you know.
Yeah,
If God permits it, you guys have children down the road, you get to like see like, say the story of how
for
you guys
real,
got married during a crazy like the craziest time of, that we could
for real.
experience.
Hey kids, you want to know when we got married? The coronavirus. That's it.
That's crazy, man. That's awesome though.
Yeah.
I think like I experienced a lot of that as well. Like this year that like I had a lot of plans and stuff and goals, and
Mhm.
sometimes not even this year, most of like my life over the last few years, like sometimes things don't go according to plan. And I remember I would get like frustrated and stuff like that. And I like, at least from like to right now, from all the study like I've been doing, I realized, like the key is to literally just like, trusting God, like what you said.
Yeah.
Like it's literally just in that. Honestly, if you like believe that you trust in God, like in like in his will and his perfect, then it like takes off like that weight off your shoulders and you get to
Yeah.
relax and like, hey, he's got it. Like, and then our job is to just keep seeking him. So
Mhm.
I've been like applying that to myself like every day over the last few weeks, and I've been seeing that is like trusting him, he'll take care of the rest. Like,
Yeah.
he's got us.
Exactly.
So
Yeah,
that's
bro.
that's cool to see that. And in your life, it's cool that you guys got a house and everything.
Yeah.
Probably the best time to buy. I don't know. I don't know
Yeah.
anything.
For real. Yeah, bro. It is actually so I've been working in banking for almost like 3.5 years. So like I know a little bit in terms of like when to buy, when is a good time to buy or whatever. And a lot of people are actually like buying during these times because like the interest rates are super low.
Mm-hmm.
But what they're doing is for these people is that the process is actually a lot harder than usual. So
Mm-hmm.
the house prices are going down and the interest rates are going down, but like the process to buy the house and all the paperwork or whatever, like it's taking longer. It might be more difficult or whatever than usual because in turn like in their eyes it's like, okay, if we're going to be selling you a house during this time, like it's going to be pretty difficult for you to get it. But like
Oh
once you
wow.
get it, then it's nice. But we closed on our house literally, bro, like 2 or 3 weeks before this pandemic started.
Wow.
So
That's
like
crazy.
right on time. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Got to like move into your house right into quarantine. So really
Yeah, for real.
maximize like you staying at home.
For real.
No
And
going
that's
out,
it, bro.
nothing. Stay at home full all the time.
It was hilarious. My pastor was like, "There's no better time than to spend with your wife, quarantine and chill, and that's it. Spend it
That's
in the
true.
house."
My
So
my friend, she actually got married in March, like
yeah,
the week of like when Florida was like going on like a full lockdown and everything. She got married on that Saturday and she was going to go on her like on a cruise for her honeymoon.
yeah,
And that Sunday, like that's when they announced like that, no travels or anything like that can happen. And I was like, dang, that's crazy. So I
right.
think like it wasn't that as strict like when they were gonna go on their honeymoon. So they were asking us for like ideas. So we told them like, hey, spend the weekend like in Miami or something. Like
Yeah,
at least do something. And at least they did that for like a few days, so it wasn't too bad.
not bad.
But like they had to like cancel their like their whole cruise, their honeymoon, and everything, and they gotta wait like pretty much like until next year, like for their
Yeah,
anniversary. So it's like,
yeah,
dang,
bro.
that's crazy. It's
Every couple that has been married during these times is gonna have a fun story to tell.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like, what, like my friend, like for her, like they literally got married, and like almost the same thing with you. They got married, moved in together, and boom, they just been together, quarantine
That's
every
hilarious.
single day.
And how long
So
have you been married?
me, I got married last January.
Awesome, bro. Hey,
Yeah,
congrats! You just made
yeah,
a year in a few months. That's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah, yeah. It's been awesome. We live in a nice, comfy apartment in Hunters
Awesome.
Creek, and it's been amazing.
Yeah,
I like I've enjoyed every second of it. Thank God it wasn't near any coronavirus.
yeah, for real.
but it's been fun. I think like the challenge that I love to take about it is learning how to grow and be better.
Yeah,
And I think what I've learned the most. I mean, I haven't been married for decades, so that's not like I have
yeah,
this crazy wisdom or experience. But what I've seen so far is that you have to really be open to change, like to changing, like because you're gonna adapt to each other and stuff, and you're both different. And I've seen that so much, and I've just learned to like grow myself and just ask myself, how can I be better? How can I serve my wife better? And I've
yeah,
just been like doing that. I try to do that as much as I possibly can, and it has helped me, and my wife have a good marriage. Like I give myself goals, like to either listen to like I listen to a podcast. It's like a marriage podcast as well, and I'll read like books. I just started actually reading Proverbs. Like I want to do like a May challenge for this whole month. Read like a
yeah.
chapter of Proverbs every day since there's 31 chapters, and
Oh,
just read
snap.
all of Proverbs and stuff like that. And I like taking those challenges. I like to grow, and I think the best word that I can think about it is like change, like learning that you've got to change. You can't be the same person always. You're going to grow. Like literally growing means changing. Like as you grow, you're like adapting and you're changing and you're becoming better. So I've honestly enjoyed it, and it's been awesome.
That's awesome. That's good advice, bro. That's very
Yeah.
good advice.
I think like a lot of the advice that we heard that like from nonstop from like different people,
Hmm.
like people that weren't like connected at all. Like it was from friends, and then from like coworkers, and then from like even from our maintenance one time, that like we were about to get married and we were doing like inspections and stuff, even they gave us advice, and almost everyone said the same thing about communication is like the most important thing. And
Mhm.
I thought that was like really interesting, like that I got of everybody, that was
Yeah.
the one thing that like was in common, that everyone mentioned communication. And
Mm.
I thought about that a lot. And what I've learned as far as communication, for me at least, it's not as much of like communication in regards of like speaking. I think communication, from what I learned, is more of listening and understanding. And that's where like I've learned a lot of like learning how to speak less and learn how to listen and understand more, and like really like dive into my wife's like perspective and stuff like that. And
Mhm.
sometimes she'll get frustrated because I'll be like too calm and too understanding. So that,
Yeah.
like sometimes
So
like I'll
get
say
mad.
yeah, like sometimes I'll say something and then like she'll get like upset or something like that, and then I'll be like, oh, did I say that? And she'll be like, yeah, and I'll be like, oh, and I'll just move on.
Yeah.
And it's like I just like I let it go, I don't hold anything, and she'll be like,
Yeah.
really? Or did you?
That's
but
funny.
um but yeah, I
Good
think like
advice. I definitely would
that's
thought
like
about
really powerful, just learning how to like listen more and understand more.
it. That's good. Yeah, it's definitely for me because I feel like I talk a lot sometimes. So
Hey man, you're talking to the one person who has literally been, I don't know if you've been told, but I have been told that I talk a lot. So
I've been told too a little bit, here and there.
from my own wife too.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I ask her like genuinely, because like I said, I just like build the habit of learning how to like grow a little bit better. I'm not hard on myself. I just like try to like grow a little bit better. So I'll ask her genuinely. I'll be like, when we're with friends and stuff, like, do I talk a lot? And she'll be like, you know what? Sometimes you do kind of talk a lot. So I tell her, I was like, if we're talking with friends and I end up talking too much, grab my arm, like go like this, go like this, so that I can get the sign, and I'll be like, okay, let me shut up. Yeah. So yeah, I've literally been told like, yeah, you kind of talk a lot, but I just like, from my perspective, I just really love to have conversations with people, especially
Mhm.
with my close friends. Like
Yeah.
I notice that I do it a lot on purpose. That sometimes like we'll have friends over, and like you're having a conversation, and then there's like that silence, and it's kind of like that. It's that silence where it's like, all right, time to go. But then like
Yeah.
in that silence, I like try to think of something else to talk about, because I just want to keep talking like about
Yeah.
stuff with friends. And out of habit, I'll do that a lot, and I'll realize like my friends will be like, okay.
That's what
So
like you guys talk about a lot of things.
yeah, I just like, I like to have conversations, and like with my friends, sometimes we'll be in the car and talk for hours, or we'll be like well, they'll come over and we'll like talk for a while, and it's just like out of habit, I'm just like, I just love to talk with people. I love to conversate, which is why I'm so glad today, like for this episode, for this podcast, to finally have someone to talk to, because I
Yeah.
have fun. I have fun recording my episodes, on my own, and at the same time, it's good to conversate with somebody and have a discussion. Is much better for me. I get to like grow live, like as I'm talking to someone else, and also like potentially help someone else grow. So this is
Yeah.
amazing. I'm glad I'm able to finally talk with somebody.
Yeah, for sure,
ten
bro. That's
after
awesome.
10
I'm glad to be
episodes.
here. Yeah, that's good, bro. I'm glad to be here. I gotta catch up on the episodes.
Yeah, man. It's like it's a roller coaster. Like it's like not even lying. Like it's some of the episodes I listen to and they're down here, but after I listen to every episode, and they just like, what I do after every episode is I'll take notes and I'll listen to it, and
Yeah.
I'll like be my own critic, and I'll just like take notes, and I'll listen to some things, like whether I was too boring or I talked too much or anything like that, and I try to like get better, and I try to really like do my very best for every episode. So I genuinely feel like whatever is my last episode, to me that's the best episode,
Yeah.
because like I put like everything into like the next episode, and for me that's what excites me. I feel like if I say, oh, listen to the third one, that's the best one, then
Yeah.
the rest of the episodes that came out to them, it makes it seem like those are whack.
Yeah.
But I really genuinely feel like if you just like listen to them from the beginning, you'll see like the how it improves, or how at least I tried to improve at least.
Yeah.
And like every episode that comes out, like after I finish each episode, like after I finish like for example, I just recorded the one for like this upcoming week, and after I recorded, I was like, what am I gonna do next? It's like
Yeah.
like I feel like I'm like, dang, like that was like by God's glory, that was pretty good. It's like,
Yeah.
how am I gonna beat that? But
Yeah.
that's where the fun comes in. That's where the challenge and the where like the passion comes in. Where it's like, all right, let's work on something. Let's
Yeah,
keep
get
keep
creative with it.
going. Yeah. So I've been having fun with that. I mean, I've been playing Alive on repeat. So
Yeah.
I've been jamming to that like a bunch of times. I'll be in the shower and I'll be like, oh
Hey, bro, that's what's
yes.
up. Hey, that's what I'm talking about, man. Thank you for that support. For a second, it took me a little bit. I'm like, Alive, what is that? Oh, that's my single. Okay, I
Yeah.
got it. I was like, hey, that's what's
Yeah,
up.
yeah. Yeah, I've been listening to a few times. I haven't listened to the other ones. I try to like look for it. I know you have like
So right
another.
now I have two that are out is Soul and Alive and Genius. So that was my first single that I have taken out, but it was under the artist name Marchesi Writes. And then
Mhm.
like between the time of Genius and Soul, which was like maybe 6 months or so, I decided I was talking to some friends or whatever, and we're like, "Yo, Marchesi Writes like sounds like a lot to say,
Yeah.
like to talk about somebody. Yo, Marchesi Writes or Marchesi Writes or whatever. Like it's too long of a name,
Yeah.
um, and it was just like, nah, I think Marchesi sounds good.
Yeah.
So I stuck with Marchesi. Marchesi is actually my last name, and it's in Spanish. So I changed to the lettering. So my artist name is Marchesi with S-I, but it's actually spelled, my last name is Marchese. So that's like, I was born and raised in Puerto Rico, but from my father's side, there's like some Italian in me. So
Oh,
my
okay.
actual name is Mario Marchesi. So super
Okay.
Italian, whatever.
Yeah.
But I decided as my artist name, I was like, you know what? I like Marchesi. Not a lot of people have that last name, and it's
Hmm.
pretty short and simple. So I stuck with Marchesi.
Yeah, that's what I saw. Like I saw your name now, and I saw it with an E at the end, and I was like, oh, it's different. It's like, is that a typo?
I just changed it for the artist thing because I was like, I don't want my actual last name to be out there. People look
Yeah.
me up, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Marchesi. I just changed it.
Yeah, I mean, like, that's cool. I mean, it's catchy too. I mean, Marchesi, I like it. That's pretty awesome. But
Thank you.
how like what have you been working on like recently? So Alive is Alive your like your newest release?
Yeah, that was my newest release. I released it March 13th.
Oh, okay.
So March 13th, I actually released it that day because it was Friday the 13th. So
Oh,
you know how
nice.
the world Friday the 13th is like, oh, it's like scary or killing or murder or death is
Yeah.
somehow related to that. So I was like, you know what? My single is called Alive. I'm gonna release it March 13th, and it's kind
Mhm.
of preaching the opposite of what the world is talking about on a
Mhm.
Friday the 13th.
Yeah, I noticed.
So
I
I was like,
noticed
you know
that.
what? I was like, let me just do it there. But yeah, that's been my latest single. Right now, what I've been working on is actually the room that I'm sitting on is eventually gonna be like my own home studio.
Mhm.
So I'm working to buy things here and there, and I'm actually learning on my iPad to work with GarageBand. So
Oh,
I
okay.
actually have a friend who's a producer, and he's been a musician for a while. For actually his entire life, he's been a musician. So he's the one who created my track for Soul and for Alive. So
Okay.
Genius, I was with another producer, but then when I did Soul and Alive, I was with my friend. His name is Matthew, and he produced those two things. And seeing him do it kind of inspired me to kind of get into production, actually creating a
Mhm.
song. So for me, when I stepped into the studio with him, I had like so many things in my mind, like, oh, I want this sound, or I want this, or I kind of want this tempo. And when I spoke to him, he kind of brought it to life.
Mhm.
So right now I'm just learning to kind of bring it to life and put it on a track. So right now I've just been learning on how to produce some things. And I'm actually working on my first Spanish single that
Okay.
I'm thinking of releasing. What I have to do is just get somebody who speaks really, really good Spanish
Yeah.
to go with my grammar.
Yeah.
But right now I'm just working on that. and I'm thinking of releasing like a single of 2 songs. So it's just one
Okay.
Spanish and one in English. So that's really what I've been working on right now. And I've actually been creating the tracks myself. And what I'm planning to do is to send it to my good friend Matthew so that he can make it better. Because there's still a lot that I have to learn. I just know how to put some things together, but like
Mm-hmm.
mixing and mastering and like really getting into the science of creating a track and making it sound good on headphones and
Mm-hmm.
on speakers or whatever, that's all him. I'm still not there yet,
Yeah.
but right now that's what I've been working on, kind of expanding my arsenal to Spanish. I was, like I said, I was born and raised in Puerto Rico. Spanish was my first language. Actually, in the second grade, like I did some poetry slam competitions
Mm-hmm.
in elementary school, and I grew up kind of on that, like on hip hop. So just kind of going back to my roots to do something for the Hispanic culture, and
Mm-hmm.
also do something for the culture that I'm in now. As a Hispanic in an American culture, and in America there's so many different cultures and stuff. So kind of adapting to my surroundings and releasing something that preaches Jesus and His love. So
That's good. That's good. Like what over the last few weeks, like what have you enjoyed the most, at least like over the last few weeks? Like as far as I mean, you already like mentioned like with like you getting married, like that's one
yeah,
of the most unique experience ever.
for
But
sure.
what else have you like as part of that, what else have you like been enjoying like as over the last few weeks? Like what are some moments that you've enjoyed like over the last few like during
um
this time?
I feel like honestly, one of the things that I've enjoyed the most is just resting.
Yeah.
Just in quarantine, just being able to wake up whenever. And it might, it sounds funny, but it's just like I feel like a lot of people like you and I were creatives. We're coming up with things
Mhm.
on a daily basis, trying to see how we can become better in life. How to be a better artist, how to be a better, friend, brother,
Mhm.
husband. I feel like a lot of that, and then also working full time, um, because we are working to do ministry full time and everything. So
Mhm.
I feel like it's just a lot of pressure sometimes. So I
Mhm.
feel like it's good for our mental health to kind of just rest and not, to kind of not have to worry about a bunch of things at the same time, and
Mhm.
just focus on, just being a good husband, just being there, creating things. During the last few weeks, I actually recorded a spoken word at my church, because my church, they've been doing live streams, and they're actually just recording videos, so that our social media platform can grow and people can,
Mhm.
have content to view. So I actually recorded a spoken word in that, and it took me like 2 or 3 days to write it and memorize it. And I think that was a really good experience for me, because in terms of me, when it comes to spoken words, I have problems with like memorizing it. So being able to, and it takes me usually longer than just 2 or 3 days, but having those 2 or 3 days of just not doing anything, and being able to focus on that kind of made me give me confidence that it's like,
Mhm.
man, like on a regular basis, if I just focus on what I'm doing enough, or the way that I'm focusing on it right now, then I can do it in 2 or 3 days, and it doesn't have to take me like it usually does, maybe 2 or 3 weeks,
Yeah.
right? So
Mhm.
I actually put my all of my mental effort into this and forget about, for example, my phone, or
Mhm.
what am I gonna do tomorrow, or worry about like a million things that go through your head. If I could just take, all those thoughts out and focus on the now, on what's happening right now, or what God wants to do with me right now, then I can actually achieve what I've either been longing for, or, just achieve what God has wanted me to do. And it makes me feel like I have that confidence, because it's like, man, God is really with me, and I can actually do this, because I
Mhm.
feel like a lot of times as creatives, um, we battle with that. It's like, man,
Mhm.
is this good enough? Is this like, am I good enough? Is somebody gonna be able to hear it? Like, is this something that's gonna be enjoyable, or is this something that's profound and it's gonna speak to somebody?
Mhm.
And kind of just not worrying about that, and just worrying about the craft itself, like worrying about doing what God told you to do, and it's gonna
Mhm.
reach the lives that it's going to reach according to God, not
Mhm.
according to the quality that I want it or the way that I want to do it, then once I get that worry off of my shoulders, like I can actually enjoy, creating something, whether it's a
Mhm.
spoken word, whether it may be a preaching or just writing music, or composing music. Like, it makes the process a lot more enjoyable, and it makes it feel like I'm doing something right, other than, oh, I have to do this because, of whatever reason.
Mhm.
And I feel like that's been my favorite part, is change my perspective on how I create and how I feel when I create something.
Mhm.
um, and changed my perspective a lot, is, just trusting God through the process of the craft, and not
Mhm.
worrying about like the finishing um, product, just worrying about the process of what I'm doing. It's gonna make me have that good final product, and not worrying about, oh my gosh, it has to be so good, or it has to be this, or it has to be that, or just worrying about what's happening right now, and then the final product is gonna come by itself.
You literally just said like literally not like I'm not even kidding right now. I was thinking
Yeah,
of something because like I'm thinking in my head right now that like what I mentioned to you earlier, like all I've been thinking about is those words like trust in God.
yeah,
And then I'm also thinking of like this whole, like you said the word process, and in my head I was
mhm.
literally like, before you said that, I was literally thinking, I don't know if you watch basketball, but
I do.
like the 76ers, like trust the
Yeah,
process.
yeah, bro.
So I was just thinking about, I don't know, it literally as soon as you said that I was like, whoa, that's crazy.
Yeah.
But It's literally what, I don't know if maybe God wants to do something with that. Like if He's been repeating that for a while, but like I've been literally like that exact thing. Trust the process. Like it's literally what we have to do. Like in all of our lives. Like in
Yeah.
these tough times, those who have been furloughed, those who are still being able to work, by the glory of God. Like we just have to trust the process and make the best of like what we can do right now. Like let's just like this process, we don't know what's at the end of it. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. So let's just trust the process. Let's trust
Mhm.
what can happen. Let's trust what God can do. And let's just, in our part, like what's in our control is making the best of what we can do right now. Like what's in our control right now with what we have within our grasp. Like today. Today is what we control. Right now is what we can control. We can't control tomorrow. Yesterday
Yep.
already passed. Like
Mhm.
all of that is out of our control. What we can control is what we have right now. and
Yeah.
and that's why we have to ask ourselves, how can I make the best of like this time right now? And it doesn't always mean action. Like for what you said, it can also mean rest. Sometimes we work so much movement, and we
Mhm.
forget about, sometimes we just need to lay back and
Yep.
just take a breather and just like really acknowledge like everything around you.
Yeah, bro.
And
Even God rested after He created all these things.
yeah, exactly.
Um,
Even God said, "All right, let me chillax."
Yeah.
week
So
two can week two can come in later.
exactly. So if God can do that, I mean, I feel like that's honestly, on that part, I feel like that speaks volumes on kind of the culture that we live in right now, where it's like fast paced and do this and that. But if we focus on God, if we focus on the cross, and we go back to Genesis, it's like God rested. He didn't need to rest. He's all powerful, He's sovereign, but He rested. And I feel like a lesson that we can take from that is that, yeah, it's amazing to create and to do all these things, but if we're not fueled and if we're not full, how can we give? So it's like, it's a balance that we have to create. It's like
Mm-hmm.
I'm giving, but I can't give on an empty tank. So it's like, let me take time to read the word of God, to pray, to just relax, don't do anything, to kind of recharge, and then let's continue, and
Yep.
not just be on this fast pace. It's like do it all the time, 24/7. And there's actually, I think I read an article or a book that said, it talks about like the hustle, and everybody's, oh, let me get my bag, or let me
Yeah.
hustle, do what I gotta do, and
Mm-hmm.
this hustle mentality that really doesn't come from God. It's like hustle mentality 24/7, all the time. I do this and I do that. Like and there's no time. Sometimes we can get so lost in what we want to do that we forget about God. Like
Mm-hmm.
we get so lost in, oh, I need to create music, or I need to be super, super good at my podcast.
Mm-hmm.
When in reality is like, the Bible says, seek the kingdom of God first and everything else will be added on to you. Like the other day, me and you were speaking about that. And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
as long as we seek God, everything else will be added on. So
Yeah.
that includes, our, everything that we do, everything that we create, music, podcast, blogs, preachings, everything like that. So
Yeah, and it's true, and it's like what I told you, it's literally that, and if you don't believe in God, or you haven't like accepted God completely, like it's literally just learning how to invest in yourself,
mhm,
and rest is a part of that, and it's learning just every day, like with what you can control, just invest in yourself, because no one else is gonna do it for you. Like
mhm,
the person writing this story right now is you, like you're writing this story. God can chart the course, and he's directing your path, and he's telling you where you got to go, but you're writing this story for you. Like I can't sit down and tell you you're right, this, like you're in
mhm,
the end, you're the one that's doing it. So that's why it's important for you to like sit down and work on yourself, and see what do you need to do to grow, what do you need to do to be better. And I think it's a part of that. Like for me personally, is like it's kind of like a paradox, because I I have like sought God, like I went out to seek God almost every day over the last like 50 days, and I haven't done that much, like I wouldn't say like that much work like on my like passion, like on my podcast, because I have been doing a lot of work on it, but for some reason my head is just so much more focused on like seeking
yeah,
more of God, and I feel like that's where my mind is at, and for some reason I've felt more productive than I've ever felt in my entire life. And
mhm,
I felt like that's a result of learning how to just invest in yourself and seek after the one who knows everything, who has the best plan that we could ever possibly think of and imagine. And literally it says it like, I was reading in the first few chapters of Proverbs today, where it talks about that, like the key to wisdom and to understanding is to seek wisdom, is to seek
mhm,
growth, to seek to be better. And you find all of that in fearing God, in the one who created everything. Because the more you seek him, the more you start to see, then this guy really has something planned that my mind cannot even fathom right now. You know
exactly.
what I mean? And when you learn to let go of like your goals, your plans, your thoughts, like doesn't mean that you can't have them. It means that you surrender them to God, and then wherever He wants to take them, if He means He's throwing it out the trash and it doesn't happen, then it means He's got something way better in store. He has something way
Exactly.
better planned, and that's what has given me hope. Like when things don't go as planned, I've learned to just like go with the flow
Yeah.
and just like really follow into God. And when I'll like write my goals like for the next 3 months and stuff like that, and I'll still pray, and I'll still say, God, if this is your will, you will make it happen, and if not,
Mm.
take me to where you want to go, because that's where I want to be.
Yeah, I feel like that's very important. Like as young creatives and a society that we live in today is like creating goals, um, having that mindset that I need to do these things and I need to be a better person. But like you said, like at the end of the day, surrendering it to God, right? So it's funny that you say that you plan ahead. Like at the beginning of the year, bro, I bought a 5-year planner.
Wow,
And so,
5 years.
dude, a 5-year planner. So what I did was I literally categorized every like aspect of my life. Like,
Mhm.
being a brother is a category, being a husband is another category, being a friend is another category. And there's category after category and things that I gotta do. And I had some plans and I had some goals, and some of those goals I've been able to achieve, and some of those goals God has redirected me, right? And it's all about being like planning your life and surrendering it to God, right? I feel like we shouldn't be walking aimlessly. I feel like we should have we should have intent. Like we should
Yeah,
have the intentions
a
to
life of intentionality, pretty much.
exactly. So we should live that life of intention. I actually, one of the pastors in my church, one of the things he told me a long time ago that kind of stuck in my heart is that live every day as if Jesus is coming tomorrow, but
Hmm.
also live every day and plan as if Jesus is coming 20 years from now, right? So it's just that balance of, I need to live right. I need to focus on what really matters, which is my salvation and having my relationship with God, because he might come tonight, and I'm going to be with my creator. And also planning, like, he's going to be coming in 20 years. So I should plan to go to school, or, or I should plan to
Mm-hmm.
make things better. I should plan to work on myself, and all these different things. Because I believe that I'm a very strong believer that Jesus wants us to live successful lives,
Mm-hmm.
like 100%. And like, just because I'm Christian doesn't mean that I'm gonna be suffering and I'm gonna have like the worst life ever because the
Mm-hmm.
devil's out to get me.
Yeah.
It's like the complete opposite. We are gonna have hardships and we are gonna face difficulties, like every person in life. But I believe the beauty of that is that, even though, Jesus doesn't promise us that we're not gonna live without hardships, but he promises us that he's gonna be with us through those hardships. So I know that whatever hardship I face, at the end of it, if Jesus is with me, I'm going to have the victory. So no matter
Mm-hmm.
what I'm facing, there's going to be a victory at the end of this, or at the end of this process. So I feel like that's the beauty of it. And, just planning what you want to do, what are your goals, what are your achievements that you want to accomplish, and then surrendering that to God. And then there's going to be one or two things that is going to happen. God is going to be like, nope, this is completely trash, like, whatever, I have something better, which is amazing, because God knows all things. It's like, if God tells me he has something better, and I'm like, okay, that's absolutely amazing. Or he can say, let's move this here, or let's move this over there. Or if you have planned that tomorrow you want to achieve something, God is like, your character is not ready for that right now. Let me work on your character, and you're going to have it 2 months from now, or it's going to
Mm-hmm.
happen, in a year, or whatever it may be. So it's
Trust
just
the
really,
process.
exactly, trust the process. We sound like Philly fans, bro.
Yeah, we sound like Philly fans out here. Trust the process.
It's funny because me and my friends, we have the fantasy
I had
basketball.
one too, and we couldn't finish it.
Yeah, bro, we didn't finish it, but I had Joel Embiid as my center, bro. So yeah,
Dang.
that's the process.
Wow, man. Yeah, like I had the fantasy draft and everything, and we had like some friends, and it was fun. And then this stuff happened. It was the first time I've ever done it too.
Yeah.
It was like a like the I think 2016. When the
Mhm.
war, I think it was like between like when the Warriors were going to the finals. Like those
Yeah.
2 years, like I was so invested in basketball, and then I took like a break. And then this year, like this season, I was like, I don't think I've been so invested like in basketball.
Yeah.
Not only was I watching it, like I was playing it like with my friends.
Yeah.
Like we would go out and play. Like I love basketball like so much. Like
And then boom.
yeah, and then it was gone. And it's crazy because before like the pandemic hit,
Mhm.
um I was playing basketball and I got injured. Like I got like a really bad like ankle sprain, and I knew for sure I was out for like a month or a month and a
Yeah.
half. So then I was like, all right, I should be good like around my birthday. My birthday was March 19th. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna make a
Wow.
comeback. I'm gonna come back on March
Big
19th.
man.
I'm gonna get hit the courts again. And then that week, that was March 19th. That was when everything was like
Lockdown.
started locked down, and I was like,
Oh man.
no way. So I
God was
haven't
like,
I
wait,
haven't played since like I haven't played since February, and it's been
man.
so bad. Like
I
I'm
feel
like
you, bro.
itching to go back, man.
Yeah, I feel you, bro. I love balling up too.
It's fun, Like I love basketball, and I like keep up with everything, and like it's crazy, and that's like another example, Maybe I thought I was ready to go back on the court, but then God was like, "Nah."
Yeah. They're like, nah, you sprained your ankle already. You're not gonna do it again.
Yeah, you need to let that rest, boy.
Real.
Yeah, but yeah, man. I mean, it's like what you said. I think that's the key too is learning how to live with intentionality. I mentioned that in my last podcast, the one that I literally just finished.
Mm.
um like when it comes to finances as well, is learning how to like have that intention, like live every day with intention. And that
Yeah.
like applies for everything, like with our finances, with our personal life and goals. When we want to exercise and like live a healthier life, like it's
Mhm.
all about like being intentional about it. We can never expect like for dollar signs to just roll in and
Yep.
cash to flow in, or for us to just magically get skinny. It's going to take for us
Mhm.
to every day like
Mm.
put in the work every single day, little by little. And the hard part is that you got to do it every day. But it does get easier the more that you do it every single day. That's a quote that I heard from BoJack Horseman. That show is on Netflix. It's a pretty funny show, but
No, I got
it's one of those comedy shows that they have these like hidden messages that are like,
yeah.
that are deep. And that I
Mm.
heard that like it's a comedy show, and I wasn't expecting a quote like that. And my mind was like blown when I heard that. I was
Definitely
like,
going
whoa,
on.
like that was deep. Like
Yeah.
it's true that like when you do something that's going to make you better, the hard part is that you have to do it every day, little by little, and invest every single day. And that's the hard part, but it will get easier as you
Mm.
start to do that every day. And like with finances, like I was talking about, the same thing is learning how to like look at your account and manage your transactions, the stuff that comes in, and making the best of it. Is literally the key word is intention, is
Mm.
learning how to be aware of everything around you and just making the best of it and not getting too lost with everything around us, within social media. Or sometimes I be playing video games for hours and I get lost
Yeah.
in that.
I hear you.
but like, it's about being intentional, with your time and everything. Because like you said, if Jesus comes back tomorrow, or if our last day to live is today,
Mhm.
are we going to look, if we're able to look back, are we going to say that I really made the best of my last day? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And also when I kind of like what you said as well about like planning for the future as well. Like maybe Jesus will come in 20 years, because that also takes us to like, okay, what do I have? What has God given me that I can start to maximize and plan for the long run until he does come back, you
Exactly.
know? So I really like that idea as well. And speaking about intention and like action, how are you like how have you been like taking action to like go make a difference? Like not just in yourself but in others. I know you've been doing like you just said you released like some spoken word and stuff like that. So what else you been doing? You post a lot, man. I've been watching all your stuff.
I'm trying, yeah, I'm trying. I feel like in terms of intention, one of my passions is like depositing into the next generation. So in my church, I'm involved in the children's ministry. Um, and me and another friend of mine that she's in charge of as well. We take care of the children's church on Fridays. So on Fridays we have like our own kids church, and it's kind of like their own time, and we
Hmm.
preach the word, the same intensity but kind of in their language. And now since we can't meet, what we've been doing is we've been doing lives on Saturday mornings so that the kids can log in and they can receive the message. So in terms of intention, that's a big part in my life that God has been working in me, right? So depositing into the next generation and being able to share my experience with these kids and being able to see them grow, see them, because, since they're kids, they get into fights, or, sometimes they may say a bad word and things like that. They're going through things at home. You see all these things, but
Hmm.
being able to be there for them and be real with them and just share the love of God and share the truth of the Bible. I feel like that's something that plays a huge part in my life and kind of broadens my perspective of, living with intention. So every lyric that I write for my single means something. So I'm not just writing, or I'm not just
Bars.
creating a melody.
Just hitting
Exactly. So
some
I'm not
bars.
Exactly. So I'm not just spitting like meaningless bars, and I'm not just creating melodies so that
Yeah.
it can be catchy. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's part of it, right?
Yeah.
Creating melodies so that they are catchy, so it's good for the ear to hear. And spitting bars. I love spitting bars, so
Yeah.
it's part of it, but it's not it.
Hmm.
It's a very small part of it that plays into a way bigger picture of what's behind the message. It's really what it is like a Christmas gift. The melodies and the spitting bars and how good I speak or how good things are. It's just the wrapper, right? But
Hmm.
once you take the wrapper off, it's like what's inside of it. Like what does it contain? What's the meaning and the purpose behind it,
Hmm.
right? So I feel like living that life with intent is honestly, it's a daily reminder. Like every time every day that I wake up, it's like reminding myself, like you have to live a life with intention.
Mhm.
Or when I'm going to write a spoken word or preaching or write a song, it's like, what's the meaning behind it? Like, what is God trying to say?
Mhm.
I was gonna say, what am I trying to say?
Yeah.
Right. But in reality is, what is God trying to say, and what am I trying to say too? Because
Mhm.
it's like we need to separate the two.
Yeah.
Like, God, this is what I'm trying to say, but in reality, like, what do you think? Like,
Mhm.
what does your word say about this particular issue? Like, if I want to talk about, politics, or I want to talk about like what's happening in society or whatever, I can have my own opinion and I can have my own perspective. But at the end of the day, when I'm creating art or when I'm living out my life, period, it's like, God, this is my opinion, this is my perspective, but I surrender it to you,
Mhm.
right? Because I want to live a life of truth. I don't want to live a life based on my feelings or based on my you know opinions on what I think or what I want to, because I'm not self-sufficient. Like, I'm not enough to
Yeah.
just, I'm not God. So surrendering all of that, telling God all my opinions, telling God what I want to do, the type of stuff that I want to do, and then God is like, okay, I think this is good, or this kind of doesn't go with what I want to do. So then, and it's also having that trust in God. It's like, okay, when you present something to God and he's like, no, this is not it, like, you have to trust God. And as
Mhm.
soon as you deviate from that, like, your art and your final product, like, you're gonna feel it. Like, it's
Mhm.
gonna be something different. Something's gonna be off, like, completely. It might sound good, but it's just like, yo, something's completely off. And I've experienced that. Like, I only have 3 singles out, but in every single song that I've released, like, I've seen improvement, and I've seen improvement both in content and in bars and melodies, right? And just the message behind it. For example, in this last song, I was like, I'm not gonna give myself a timeline. Like, I'm
Mhm.
just gonna create, and whenever it's done, it's done. Because I'm usually the type of person that's like, no, I want to do it by this time, or I want to do it by that. And I
Mhm.
did that with my last 2 songs. But in this song, I was like, you know what, God, in your timing, whenever you want me to be done with the song, is when I'll be done with this song. And I feel like that's what made the difference in this song, and what brought more purpose to it, and more meaning and more intention. But that's really, I think, the key to just creating and doing what we do for God. Is like, what are my intentions? And then once you realize what your intentions are, surrendering to God those intentions, so that
Mhm.
he's like, all right, you either need to filter some things, you need to take some things out, or you're on the right track. Let's keep going with this.
Mhm.
So
I did that like when I started the podcast. I read this book that's called "Start with Why" by Simon Sinek,
Mhm.
and like that just the title in itself literally changed my perspective on everything. And it's literally like it talks about exactly that. Like wherever you want to start, whatever you want to do, you need to ask the most important question you have to ask yourself is why.
Mhm.
And dig deep into the very core of why you want to do it. And I realized, that comes with like a lot of like the issues that people have, like when we have those New Year's resolutions and they fall off and stuff like that, is mostly because we say, oh, I want to exercise, I want to do this, and then we just fall off track, and then it just doesn't go according to plan. It's because we never ask ourselves why. We never start with why. So when I like went towards my podcast, I asked myself, it's like, okay, why do I want to do this? Like, what am I hoping to accomplish from this? And like one of the reasons was what I told you. I talk a lot, so I was like, let me give myself a place where I can talk freely, and no one tell me I talk too much.
That's funny.
So that was one of the reasons, but it was also like what I mentioned to you before, that like I had like these ideas, and I spent the last few years like literally just on myself, nothing else, just learning how to be a better person, learning how to be a better leader overall. And then I had like so much of these ideas that I saw that could improve in places like around me, But for some reason, depending on the circumstance or the people, like I didn't feel comfortable enough to like open myself up, or I have opened myself up and I would just get turned down, like my ideas and stuff like that. So I feel like it's like, I want to be able to like voice out, like throw these things out there to help someone out there, so that if one person listens, they can see like they can really invest in themselves and make the best of like who they are, and know that we're all meant to do something. We all have a purpose here, and we're all meant to prosper.
Mhm.
Literally says it in the Bible itself
Mhm.
that God has plans for us to prosper. Like there's no one person of us that if we trust in God that he's going to help us fail.
Yeah.
Maybe it's going to take failure to get to the ultimate success that is waiting for us, but
Mhm.
in the end, it's always going to be that victory. and
Yeah.
and that's what I learned, and that's what I wanted to use like my podcast to learn how you can take something that's like ordinary. And I frame like my podcast, literally everything, around the story of the fisherman when Jesus like went up to recruit the fishermen.
Mhm.
Because I don't know why, like I studied it like last year. I read in that story, and ever since I read it, even though I've heard of it before, ever since I
Yeah.
read it like last year, it like struck a chord in me, and it has stuck to me ever since. And it's what led to essentially like me creating this podcast, is how like Jesus, like he saw ordinary people who did something very well, like the fishermen. He saw Peter and he saw Simon, and these people were, just doing their job, just doing what they did well. And Jesus told them and showed them how they can turn something ordinary that only benefited them and transition that into something that can benefit others and help others through their skills that God has given them. And that's what I want to like show people how like what to do. Like take people who have talents, because we all do. We all have gifts and we all have talents, and show how we can take that and put it in the hands of God, and
Mhm.
watch how he can turn it into something great, and watch how he can take it to a whole other level, higher than we can ever imagine. And that is literally the premise of my whole podcast. I'm learning how to maximize that and take advantage and really take action on that. And showing, and once I like show others how to do that, it's to kind of like repeat the cycle and show those people that listen how to do the same, and pass that on to someone else and show
Yeah.
them how to do the same thing, so that all together we can all go mad. I say that after every episode, we can all
Yeah.
go mad, which means to go make a difference.
Hey, I like
It's
that.
something that I apply for myself. Like it's literally me telling myself, go mad, go make a difference. Like it's like telling me, go out there and take action. Don't sit down, don't wait another second to pass by. I love it because I literally read this verse like a week or two ago. I think it was Second Timothy chapter 4, verses like 1 to 3, where the Apostle Paul is telling Timothy, this young guy is telling him, to go out there and to preach. And what I love, like what's like so amazing. So I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but sometimes you hear of these famous quotes or like famous sayings, and then you read them in the Bible, and you're like, "Holy crap! The Bible actually says this."
Yeah. Yeah, I've had those. I've had a
Yeah,
lot of those moments,
yeah.
actually.
Like you read that, like yesterday I was reading that in Proverbs, like it mentioned simps, like something that people say a lot today.
Yeah.
I'm like, the Bible talks about that, like about simps, and I'm like, yo, this is crazy. Like
Yeah.
it's crazy. Like when you connect that,
Goes
you
with
see,
everything.
it's like it literally connects with everything. And I was reading in Timothy about that, where literally Paul says, preach the word whether it's convenient or not. And
Mhm.
that was like straight to me. That was like I felt that straight to me. That is like, no matter what, whether I feel like it or not, whether I'm tired, whether I'm laying in bed, whether I started like working and it gets busy, doesn't matter. I need to find the time and take out the time to mention something. I'll release like a video on social media and something like that. And that's kind of like me answering to God, saying, okay, I'm going to obey. I'm going to obey what you're saying. I'm going to release this, at least to do my part of like making the best of today. And I really like it. That really like impacted me, because it's like not even only with just like with the Bible, it's just with ourselves. That's the same attitude we have to have. That is like,
Yeah.
okay, we need to grow, like whether we like it or not. If we want to be better, we need to go out there and take action, whether we feel like it or not. Because if we only wait for when we feel like it, we'll never get anything done. We have to like put ourselves out there and be comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Hmm.
So I think that's like what's been very powerful as well.
Amen, bro. I agree 100%, bro. It's like having that mindset of growth, having that mindset of positive change, and just trusting God with that change, and be like you said, being comfortable, being uncomfortable. Like I don't want to live a life that everything is, mad comfortable and just
Mm-hmm.
me, doing what I want. It's like, no, like I want to live a life that I'll be able to grow in God.
Mm-hmm.
And what better place than, in his word and getting closer to him in prayer. Um, that's the life that I want to live. And it's just a question that I always ask myself, like, is the decision that I'm going to make today, am I going to regret it, you know, 10 years from now? Like, am I
Mm-hmm.
going to wake up when I'm 60 and I could have said, yo, like when I was in my 20s or whatever, like I should have done this or I should have done that. And now I'm 60 and it's kind of like,
Mm-hmm.
man, time flew by. I don't want to live that life. I want to live a life where it's like I had the opportunity and I seized it. Like I went after it.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes we fail and that's normal, but it's just like after you do that and you stand up, like what are you gonna do with that? Like my pastor always says a Christian has one or two positions. It's either, stood up or standing up. So we're gonna fall. Like we're
Mm-hmm.
always gonna fall, but are you gonna stay there? Are you gonna stay there where you're at, or are you gonna stand up and keep going?
Mm-hmm.
And I want to be able to say when I'm close to the end of my life, like, I fell, but I stood up and I kept going.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of my motivation as well.
And that's like it's literally just like creating a community around us that inspires action and intentionality,
Hmm.
and making the best of ourselves with what we have, and then showing others how to do the same. It's like a two-way thing that like I want to spend the rest of my life helping others do, by investing in myself and then showing other people how to do the same for the next generation. Like
Hmm.
I'm thinking in my mindset, I'm thinking of my kids. Like I'm thinking like when I'm like way older, that they can look back and
Yeah.
say like dang, yo, my grandfather is crazy. Like when you meet him, this guy is crazy. You're gonna talk to him. Like what? Wait until you talk with him. This guy is he's gonna change your life. And he's gonna really help you be better. That's what I want to hear from my grandchildren, like my great grandchildren. Like, and
Mhm.
leave a legacy that inspires others to make the best of what they have, knowing that it doesn't matter. You don't have to chase after more money or chase after something that's in this world. Look at what you have right now and get creative and ask yourself, what can I do with this? And that's where true magic and like true, like beautiful and amazing things happen, where you really just like look within yourself and say, okay, what can I do with what I have right now? You know,
And you go mad.
and you go make a difference.
This was a really good session. We did talk about a lot. It was really good conversation, and I'm just looking forward to doing more, bro. I'm down.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Let me know if you need anything.
Um,
Mr. Mario Marchesi, listen to his new single,
Hey,
Alive. Some
hey,
fire stuff. I listen to that on repeat.
hey, thanks, bro. Appreciate that.
No problem, man.